Hello and welcome to Toad Rolls Dice, where we're going to take a look at the data cards for the two new Chaos Champions, one for the Death Guard, one for the World Eaters, that are going up for pre-order this weekend if you want to buy all of the other models in their respective Battle Force boxes. So as a release method, I hate this, but I do want to know what the characters do, so how about we take a look. Two new villains arise. The Death Guard and the World Eaters. The World Eaters and the Death Guard are mounting a two-pronged assault on the galaxy this month, as both codexes become available to pre-order on Saturday. Khorne and Nurgle have each appointed new champions, but who is stronger? Great, it's framed as a power creep. Wonderful. The picture that they're showing us is of index demons and a mix of demon units that you can't field in either of these codexes. Excellent marketing. I don't know why I'm picking up on that. But let's focus on the potential positives, shall we? Appointing one of Modharian's 7 mantles of corruption, the cankerous Lord of Poxes is a living vector. The turbine on his back spreads the miasma brewed within his lungs far and wide, granting him an extra 3-inch on his contagion range. Everything about that is gross. This Shroud of Disease also prevents enemies targeting him and the unit he leads with ranged attacks unless the attacker is within 18 inches. So while this might be a new thing for Death Guard characters and units, this is just a continuation of a rule we've seen throughout all of 10th. Useful additional protection for your lumbering Plague Marines. That is true, yep. Because they're quite slow as well, aren't they? For those who do close the distance, his Great Plague Blade causes devastating wounds and lethal hits. Interesting. So Lord of Poxes, movement 5, toughness 6, save 3 up with a 4 up invul, 5 wounds, 6 up leadership and OC 1. Nothing too stand out there, I don't think. Just expected Death Guard character level stuff. Ranged weapons, we have a plasma pistol with the standard profiles at this point, and melee weapons, the Great Plague Blade, dev wounds, lethal hits, range melee, 6 attacks, 2 up weapon skill, strength 8, minus 2 AP, 2 damage. So he's gonna be pretty brutal in combat, which is probably quite fitting. As a leader, he can lead Plague Marines. He's infantry character, grenades, chaos, Nurgle, and Lord of Poxes. Faction obviously Death Guard, and abilities, he has the Nurgle's Gift Aura faction rule, which we'll talk about in another video this week. He also has the Shroud of Disease, which we've just touched on. While this model is leading a unit, that unit cannot be targeted by ranged attacks unless the attacking model is within 18 inches. But it's only while he's leading a unit, which is utterly stupid, bearing in mind that he has this giant turbine on his back, spreading out all of this plague goodness. Yet when he's on his own, he has no benefit to generating all of that stuff. Utterly stupid rule. Utterly stupid. It should just be he has it and the unit benefits from it because he has it baked into his datasheet. On the whole, I think it's pretty good. We don't know points or anything. That melee weapon sounds a bit spicy, but on the whole, pretty nice. I'm still not sure about how dev wounds and lethal hits interact on the same weapon, but still, I mean, it looks like a solid profile. There's nothing amazing jumping out at me, but it sounds pretty solid. The extra 3-inch range on contagion is probably quite good. So now over to the Slaughterbound. The Slaughterbound is a little bit more hands-on, having triumphed in a battle against a bloodthirster. The first step of his ascendance is complete, though the ongoing metaphysical duel continues to warp his body more into a vessel of Khorne's liking. His rage is so potent that he returns one destroyed 8-bound or exalted 8-bound miniature into his entourage unit each command phase. That's gross. I think it's a character like ability that World Eaters probably needed, but bringing back a whole exalted 8-bound each command phase? Oof. Far less interesting is providing defense from incoming fire. This Lord of the 8-bound urges his unit into the thick of combat by a deep strike and scout 6-inch. Nice. He can also call upon the seething fury of his bound bloodthirster, for 3 extra attacks and dev wounds once per battle. So what have we actually got here? So he is a 10-inch move, very nice, toughness 6, 3 up save with a 5 up invulnerable, 6 wounds, 6 leadership and 1 OC. Melee weapons, he's got no range weapons at all. Melee weapons, he has the Lacerator and Demonic Claw, which is melee range, 6 attacks, hits on 2 up, strength 8, minus 2 AP, 2 damage. So it's the same as the Great Plague weapon, just without dev wounds and lethal hits. Isn't that a bit? Are they just copying and pasting stuff now? So the model can lead 8-bound and Exalted 8-bound as expected. Lord of the 8-bound ability. If this model is attached to a World Eater's possessed unit during a declare battle formation step, until the end of the battle, this model has Deep Strike and Scout 6-inch abilities. What's a possessed unit then? I'm going to assume that a possessed unit is 8-bound or Exalted 8-bound. Keywords: inventory character, Chaos Corn, Demon, Possessed, and Slaughterbound. Faction World Eaters, obviously. Abilities: he has Deadly Demise D3, so he explodes on death. Blessings of Corn, we'll talk about that in another video. Rage Eternal. While this model is leading a unit, in your command phase, you can return 1 destroyed bodyguard unit to that unit. As a leading a unit ability, I'm okay with that. I think that that kind of thing makes sense, because it's not like it's a buff that he has, he just wills 8-bound model back to life, I guess. But that's cool. It's nice that there is some form of apothecary style character that the World Eaters get hold of. I don't know if the rest of Chaos have things like that. I think every army should have something like that, in all honesty. But the fact that it's on Exalted 8-bound, that's going to be brutal, I think. Once per turn, in your command phase, yep, just bringing back however many wounds of... Wow, he's going to be tough. And because he's not an epic hero, you can run 3 of them with 6 Exalted 8-bound each. That's a lot of demon possessed to chew through. His other ability, Possessed Lord, once per battle, at the start of the fight phase, this model can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, add 3 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapons equipped by this model, and those weapons have dev wounds. So he'd go up to 9 attacks with dev wounds. I suppose as a once per battle ability, it's not the worst. I'm drawn to the Slaughterbound. I think that just being able to bring a model back is really nice. And Scout and Deep Strike, I think, are really nice as well. I think rules-wise, both of them are nice. I think the Lord of Poxes is a little bit generic to other characters that we've seen. His abilities aren't exactly that exciting to me. Shroud of Disease is just a renamed reuse of an ability that loads of other characters have, whereas the Slaughterbound... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the difference, because they're two very different armies. But I'm definitely more of a fan of Khorne. I can appreciate his beautiful Throne of Skulls. So yeah, I quite like the Slaughterbound. I think he's going to be 3 of them, backed up by units of Exalted 8-bound, is just going to be all over the meta, and it's going to be awful to deal with. This sounds quite strong, from what I know. When you get down to it, you could argue that the God of Murder and the God of Plagues share certain similarities. Both are drawn to death beyond Slaanesh and Tzeentch. And how many fields of Khornite slaughter have been led to bounties for the Grandfather? Both prefer to fight in close quarters, though we'll concede that Death Guard do have a thing for artillery. We'll have our hands full, or severed, or mulched, in very short order. Codexes, battle force boxes, combat patrols, data sheets, and dice for both God's favoured few will be available to pre-order on Saturday. It's rare that they tell you everything that's coming. Yeah, you'll have to let me know in the comments which you think stands out more. It entirely depends, I guess, on detachments and units that you're running them with, and points. Obviously, points is going to come into it. I think the Slaughterbound is going to be quite good, and I think you're going to see a lot of them. I think he's got more utility for the units that he leads as well, but still, I guess with the speed of Death Guard, 18-inch, your opponent's going to have to be pushing up to get within that range. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Slaughterbound is better, but I am not on top of the rules for 10th across all armies and things anyway. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and let me know if you'll be picking up either of those boxes to get those characters, and generally what you're interested in from these armies. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.